welcome once again for a very special EWTN bookmark with a very special author, Brother Leo Mary, MFVA. His new work is Hey Brother Leo 2. There's also a Spanish edition of his first volume. It's self-published. Hey, Brother Leo, great to have you here.
Thank you,
on Bookmark, once again, as an author. You know, everybody gets to see you, obviously, on your Hey Brother Leo spots on TV, which we started doing back, well, what, 15 years ago now?
Yeah,
so,
1998.
Right, okay, so 15 years ago. And now, which came first, the spots or the books?
The spots.
Okay, so we did the spots, and let's think back about that. Now, I remember Father Joseph stopped by my office and said, you know, Brother Leo has these very interesting ways of teaching kids things about the faith with these little devices he makes and things. He's very mechanical. He can put things together, and maybe we can use it for something. And we developed the Hey Brother Leo series of spots. And that's how it really got started. But let me ask you, and we'll talk about the second book, the first book, and also the Spanish version of the first book. And let's talk about what was the ideas when you first came up with the idea of doing these kinds of things? I mean, when was the first time you started putting things together and realized I could use this as a teaching tool, especially for kids?
It was a little bit before, about 96 or 95. We had a brother that would give talks to prayer groups, and I was very shy, and I would be going with them, and I was stuck giving the talks at the prayer groups. And it was only have to be 5 minutes to lead prayer, and I started using analogies at that time just to explain the faith, and it kept the kids' attention, it kept the adults' attention for 5 minutes, and then I taught the faith at the same time. But pretty much it just came to me in prayer that when I was been praying, I would come up with an idea, or either through first the prayer part and then the physical part, or I would do the science part and then the
well, let me ask you, now you were always pretty mechanically inclined, right?
Yeah.
So what was the first one you actually ever came up with?
The washing machine was the first one I
remember
built.
That, right? Okay.
And that was the first one that
Is that featured in your first book, right?
The first book.
Okay, and now in Spanish, right?
Yes.
Okay, great.
Yeah. I don't know if they call it a washing machine in Spanish.
Okay.
But,
so you didn't translate the Spanish?
No, I got somebody else too. I don't know any words in Spanish.
Okay, very good. Well, let's move on to, so how many years now has the first book been out, the original?
About 5 years.
About 5 years, okay. And you've sold?
About 3,000.
About 3,000. And you also, I know, sometimes will give them away to people and stuff like that. And because I know you were actually giving away this past Christmas your new copy, right, to some of the employees here, Hey Brother Leo 2. Now let's talk about the second book. So this was very popular. You found people liked it. You had other ideas you wanted to do. People said, where's another book? How did it come about, the second book?
The second book, I found out the first book was doing well, and the explanations, the kids seemed to understand it, and the families would tell me how good it was. Mainly the people that we can get to read it. The hard thing is to try to get them to open the book. Right. So that's why I got the new cover. I think that will help them to open the book.
And there's this wonderful picture, and this, he says, hey, Uncle, Brother Leo, look at me. He's just like you. Some people would think of a mini-me, but
that's what they say. Yeah.
from the movies. But this is actually really, in reality, your nephew, then.
That's my little nephew. He was only 10 months old at that time, just learning how to walk, and my sister-in-law wanted to make a habit for him for Halloween, or for All Saints Day.
Right, and you actually talk about costumes and things for All Saints Day and how you deal with Halloween. But I also noticed on this one on the cover, besides this great little picture of the two of you, it says, warning, adult supervision required for some experiments.
The other one has that too.
It's in there too.
They always have it.
Right, but it's just not as prominent, right, exactly.
Well,
and why do you put that on there?
Mainly so I don't get sued, but also just, it's good to, whenever you deal with electricity or anything that's a kid can hurt themselves, it's good to have the adult supervision, but it's also good for families, to build families. They can work together on a project themselves.
And I was going to say, in a lot of these things, obviously on TV, you're there doing it, you're showing the kids. In fact, the first set are all available on DVD, right? You can actually order the DVDs. But really, this book is designed for a family maybe to work with their kids, where the dad or the mom might actually be the one doing the experiments with the kids, right?
Our teachers, they can do it for their
like in CCD or homeschooling or something like that. Now, you actually have got a Neil Obstott and an imprimatur from our local diocese here.
Yeah, in order for me to do any printing, our community we have to get the Neil
Because
Obstott.
you're a brother.
Just our religion in our order.
That's
and
what I mean,
also
in
to
the
make
order
sure,
itself. I mean,
just to make sure that there's no heresy or anything like that.
right.
to make
Obviously,
sure.
a lay Catholic might be able
Yeah.
to go and do something, and it would be better if they had these
Yeah.
things, but they wouldn't be required. But because you're in
A
the
religious
MF,
order, yeah.
you're actually required to do it. Now, one of the things that struck me, and we'll go through some of the things in the book, is you dedicate, and I noticed at the beginning and the very end, that you really start and end with the Blessed Mother.
Yeah, she's always been there to help me. So I dedicated.
Even when you were
to her.
young?
Oh yeah, yeah.
Okay.
My mother died when I was 3, so
I see.
she was like a mother to me the whole way through.
Right, it says she's always taken such good care of me and my family.
Yeah. So.
Now, you've got a table of contents here, and we've got, how many different experiments actually do you
There's
have in here?
32 topics in the second book. There's only 28 in the first. I want to
Okay.
make it even to 60.
So you got 60 now. Do you have other ones that didn't make it in the book that you decided to cut out, or other ideas you're thinking of?
There's a lot. I did about 180 shows,
Mm-hmm.
but some of them don't go good for book. It's just harder to explain how to build and stuff.
And so you picked the ones that work better
More,
that way.
yeah.
And when you made the list out and you did this, I know there's some people who actually work here at EWTN who helped you
Oh, yeah.
with it a little bit. What was the process of putting the book together?
Well, it takes a while. First, I sit in front of the tabernacle and I write the written part. Since I don't write very good, I bring it to John Gravetti, who puts it in the English
And John
form.
Gravetti works with the friars,
Yeah,
right?
he's our secretary, sort of.
Right,
And so he put it together in English form, make sure that I'm speaking good English, because I'm from Louisiana, you know. And so...
No comment.
No comment.
We have some sisters who are from Louisiana, so
Yeah, they don't
and they speak
it
very
either.
well. They
No,
speak very
don't.
well.
No. But so I went to him, and he helps me, and he's able to type about 100 words a minute, so it's easy for him to type
Okay.
it in there. And then he knows the English, and he's able to help me with that. Then after that, I keep going through it, correcting, getting corrections, and then when it gets pretty close to being finished, I then run it through 5 or 10 or 15 different employees that will read over it, and they will try to find any other corrections. And then I have to go through more, clean it all up, make sure it's all flowing good.
Right.
Then I get to Neo-Abstat, which they make more corrections. And
Right.
so.
And then actually, I mean, the book is a very, we'll show images from it, I'm sure, during the interview, there's a lot of great pictures in here and
Yes.
things. So who was responsible for actually getting these pictures?
I go out and I find families, and I take pictures and ask them if I can use their families in the book.
Okay.
And some families just showed up on my doorstep, and I asked them if they wanted to be in the book. So,
Okay.
so that's how I get into it.
And they're actually some of the people who work here who involved with graphic design and
Oh,
stuff
yeah.
helped you lay the book out a little
Yeah,
bit and stuff like that.
Mary Sella Hudson is the one that put the book all together for me. She
Okay.
took my first book and reduced it down in size a little.
Yeah, I noticed that it's a little bit smaller.
Yeah, the first
was
one-
that a function of cost or just easier for kids to use?
We were
or-
thinking on going with Amazon, but then we decided not to, and they had a certain size,
I see,
and so
okay.
we had to go through their size, and then the community decided not to do that, so we just stuck with that size. I like it smaller. I like it big. I like the big print because you
Right.
can see it easy.
But it still has big print
Yeah, well, yeah,
for the kids.
yeah.
So let's talk about, you start off with Crazy for Jesus, and there's pictures, is that Silly String?
That's silly string or crazy
And
string.
let's get into one of these and say, Crazy for Jesus. First of all, why'd you start off with that one for the book?
Well, I was also looking at the layout of the book, and I needed to pick one with starting with two pictures, like 2 pages, and so I did it that way. And also, you need to be crazy for Jesus, and that's the beginning of our lives, is to love Jesus. When we know that we're in love with Him, we want to be with Him. And so it looks crazy to the world when we spend
I
time in
see.
adoration,
Okay.
or when we...
Yeah, what are you wasting your time
Yeah,
for?
exactly.
You don't really believe this stuff,
Exactly.
right?
So
Why
and
don't
then
you go
I
out and
compare
have
it with
some
crazy
fun?
string.
Right,
Exactly.
I see. Okay.
So then I use a crazy string, which is
Right.
a can. They do sell it crazy string
right.
instead of silly string. Crazy string is different.
Okay.
Different words, but
Okay. The same
So-
general idea, though.
Yeah, but the
let me
crazy-
ask you, with the world we're going into here in 2013 and everything, do you think it's important for young Catholics, especially, to realize in many cases they're going to be looked at that way? That if they try and live out their faith in the appropriate fashion, people are going to think in some ways that they're strange.
exactly, yeah. Yeah, a lot of kids are, if they go to Mass, like I used to go to Mass daily and pray the Rosary, the kids would tease you at school and stuff like that. It's like, you're
Right.
crazy to do all that. So,
Right, right.
But but then when you're in love with somebody, you
Right.
want to do that.
So you need a strong foundation, but be prepared that you're going to be challenged.
Exactly.
Right. Now, in the second one here, Jesus is our model, did you build a lot of models when your kids? Obviously, you make contraptions and stuff, but
No, I didn't have money when I was growing up, so we didn't have model cars. I took apart clocks with hammers and chisels, then I built stuff out of that. But I didn't.
and is that
use
why
model
you're
cars.
so good with mechanical things and figuring out things and stuff? Because you
Mainly-
take it apart, or you just had an
Exactly.
interest in taking it?
I always took things apart. One of my cousins said I was taking a wagon wheel apart when I was 3 years old.
Right.
So I was always taking things apart, and then I learned how they worked. And
Right.
when I was around 13, I started building, fixing things. Like we used to start selling bikes and all type. We had a flea market.
Okay.
So I fixed stuff.
So you
that
take stuff that other people maybe got rid of or was broken,
Side of the road,
fix
yep.
it, kind of that thing that we have today. Where people
Yeah.
buy the previously owned, so to speak, or
Yeah,
refurbished in a sense.
we had a flea market, so we would fix whatever I could fix. We would sell out there on the flea market. So toasters, it didn't matter what it
Okay,
was.
and that same approach helps you with your own faith because you kind of got into it and understand how the faith all works together,
Exactly,
right?
yeah. Yeah, a lot of people see things in pictures, and so that's what I see. I picture it in my mind. I don't write out a schematic of how it's going to be built because I can't, but I have it in my mind, and then I start building it, and then when I come to a problem, I go in prayer and try to figure out what way to fix it. So.
Now, let's just ask about this. Jesus is our model. You talk about 2 model cars. What was the point of this?
Well, Jesus is the model for our whole life. So you have the model car that is perfectly put together, and Jesus is that one. And then we are supposed to be like Jesus, so we have to look at Jesus to be what he was like. And so we need to compare ourselves to him and find out where we're good at and what we're bad at.
So do we try and build our own model that modeled on him?
Modeled except for looks, you can't look like Jesus because he was had his own looks, and you
Right.
can't be what he looked like. So, but spiritually, we can
Right, we
be
can
like
model
Jesus.
ourselves.
Yeah.
Okay. Now it's interesting, and there's also on here, which I thought was, it's that Jesus is our model, and then there's a shot of our Lord washing
feet.
the apostles' feet.
Yeah, I
What was
use
the
charity
connection?
because he's our model of charity, sacrificing, giving himself, and that's pretty much the basis of our modeling. Jesus came down, God became man, and showed us how to
Right.
to love, and
Right.
that's what it's all about. So.
Now you've got another one here. Let me skip ahead, and you would think kids would like this one because it looks like
yeah.
everybody gets to suck on a candy cane. Jesus, the God-man, you will need a peppermint candy cane. What was the premise
Well,
of
that's
this one?
for the hypostatic union, which is a nice big word, but it's mainly just
Whoa.
saying, mainly just saying that God was one person and 2 natures. So
Okay.
he's God and he's man, truly God and truly man.
And that's kind of like the story of the candy cane, and I think even the barber pole and stuff like that.
I don't know if it's the story of candy cane. I was using
There's
on
a
a TV. I
relationship
used a
there, right?
popsicle,
Yeah.
a popsicle that was intertwined, but I couldn't find them anymore.
Okay.
So then I went
you
to the
switched to
candy
this.
cane.
So I see it. The Catholic Church uses 2 big words called hypostatic union. It's just explained how Jesus is one divine person with 2 natures. And so you're practical too, because if you can't find what you wanted, you found something else. Now you did do one here on your first love, the Mother of God. You'll need a real mother and a real baby. If you can't find a real one, you can use dolls. The real ones are better.
Yeah, they're much better. Yeah. This is my sister-in-law and her little baby. And the baby that's
Okay.
on the cover.
On the cover, this is also
the same.
Oh, okay,
yeah.
okay.
And then she just had another little baby, so my little niece just made it in time for the back of the cover.
Right. And I know we tried to take some pictures of some of the ones I'm supposed to talk about, but I'm going to talk about other ones as well.
Sure, no
Because I thought this was interesting, dealing with suffering. And you look, there's a picture of some kid eating this giant cheeseburger.
It's a hamburger.
Okay, well, I get to a hamburger with lettuce. Okay,
there you go.
Now that I look at it again. But a hamburger. But there's also a picture of a gentleman in a wheelchair.
Yeah, well, the suffering is what I'm talking about in this one, and it's how to deal with suffering. And so if we put suffering in between a Holy Communion, so the hamburger is like Holy Communion, 1 bread, 2, and then suffering's in the middle.
I see,
So
okay.
if you receive Jesus in Holy Communion, you get the graces and strength to deal with the suffering. And then when you receive him again, it's receiving
And that's why you have the
graces.
picture of the young boy receiving communion
Yeah,
on
exactly.
on the other page here.
And I was going to put a different place, but it didn't work out. Make it look like the suffering guy was in the middle of two receiving communion, but it just didn't turn out.
I see. Okay, but just that idea of seeing
yeah.
that. Now the Big Bang.
That's a nice one.
We hear about that from obviously there's a TV show. Obviously, it's a theory. And that's when I noticed you got a Red Devil M1000 brand firecrackers here.
Yep.
So this one definitely says adult supervision required. And of course, for people in the South, here in Alabama, you can buy fireworks. In a lot of the places in the United States, you can't even buy fireworks.
They can always come down here.
Oh, okay.
No, okay.
As long as they use them inside this state.
Yeah, exactly. Or inside their closed-in area, somewhere that people won't hear them.
And this is one I know we have pictures of. It's the one on good and evil.
Oh yeah.
The first thing I see here are glazed donuts. Are those good?
The donuts themselves, the donut is good.
Okay.
The hole in the donut is evil. It's
Okay.
that evil is absence of good. So if you don't have all that good donut there, then you have some evil.
Do you have to pay copyright to the donut man for those?
No, he doesn't use real donuts. So that's what I don't like about his show. He doesn't use real donuts.
Oh, okay. So
in my show, I use
real donuts
stuff.
because you like donuts.
Oh, well, I like donuts, but I like sweets.
Do you like sugar? These kind of glazed donuts
Those
the
aren't
best? So
bad.
you just
Not
thought
bad.
that they took a good picture?
No, they had the hole in them.
I see. Okay.
And that's what.
Yeah, because sometimes they use
And the
that as the
donut
hole,
holes.
and the hole is
The donut
where
holes you
Jesus. It's the hole in our heart.
Yeah, you
right?
can do
Exactly.
that too. There's all types of analogies.
Okay. Now, have you done ones in the past? I saw a picture here. I was thinking of Father John Trujillo, who was with us back before Christmas as well. There's a giant Hershey bar in here.
He's the one that gave me the Hershey bar.
Is it? Because he used to bring those down. I don't see those anymore. I don't know.
Oh, he hasn't
I'm
brought it
gonna
in a while.
check with him.
But
Coming
they
down from
cost
Pennsylvania.
a little, but I use that one for explaining how we need to do little acts of love. So.
Now, have you done experiments and done things in the past where you tried it out a particular way to use that teaching and said, that didn't really work the way I wanted it to, and then the next time you adapted it or you changed the way you could get to the same message?
Yeah, a lot of times I use it on different groups that come or something, and then I get better at explaining it.
Do you get some feedback or?
Yeah, no, mainly most of the time not, but I get I feel if I understand it when I'm explaining it. So.
Right.
But.
Do you still have the hovercraft? I see it resurrected itself for this book.
Yeah, it was on a TV show, but I had to
Right.
take it apart because it's too big to put in the back. Well, it goes in the back of a truck, but I have to bring it up to Hansfield to drive it, so it's a pain in the neck.
Do you still have it or not?
No, I took it apart and made
Okay.
hovercraft shoes out of it, and hovercraft.
Did those work?
I used that on a TV show. That one
Right.
is a little more unstable.
Is that when you flew through the parking lot that we had those? Those were jet
those
skates.
Are that was fake. Yeah,
those were jet
that was the only
skates.
fake thing.
Oh, what? Oh, I thought that wasn't real?
No.
Oh,
If you ever took off like that, you'll land on your head. So, a little science you have to learn.
Here's one that, you got a lot of things, the kids would know. Here's one that looking at it now, you would think, gee, is that something kids do? They probably do, but don't really think about it. It's gossip or detraction, and certainly, and there's a difference between gossip or detraction, but both of them are things we shouldn't be doing. But I guess kids do it too, huh?
In school, you hear it all the time. They're always talking about each other,
Right, and the Facebook and things like that, a lot of that stuff. You're right. It's gotten where people, really give each other a hard time or
kids
spread
do it more.
lies about people, right?
So, but you want to help them to see the truth in it.
Right. Now, you've got one here as well that there's some pictures in here. I see you on a unicycle hanging onto a fence.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? But I also see on the page before, it's actually, is that our Cat Chat people there?
Yeah, he was able to ride it. So
did you take that picture when he was doing that? Was that over by, where was it?
It was in our basketball goal.
That's what I thought. Okay. And we've had a lot of people like that show.
That's a very good show.
You like that?
I used them in a book on a.
Oh, right, I know. There's a nice picture of the whole family.
They flew me up to Canada and I visited one for a week.
Oh, did you really? Oh, okay.
I got the ice skate.
Oh, did you really? Had you ever ice skated before?
Nope. No. First time.
Okay.
And I made it.
You did okay?
I did very well.
Yeah. You weren't hanging onto the fence?
There was no fence. But no, I did very well.
Right. So, how long has this book actually been out? We're here. It's after the first of the year, so it just basically came out right around
Christmas,
just before Christmas.
Yeah.
Okay. And what's your hope for a book like this? I mean, when you put it together, what do you want the outcome? Obviously, you like to sell books. It helps the friars to have people buy the book, and so it helps to support the friary. You feel better that people like what you do. But beyond that?
Well, I want them to know the truth, and I want them to be able to explain the truth. It's good for teachers to be able to explain the truth to others. And using analogies, I mean, there's all types of comparisons, but these are just some of them that I use. But they can use them and explain the faith to their kids, to the children, and whatever, and then the families, homeschoolers.
Right. And I saw the Fishers of Men. Obviously, we know that story. But is that are those the catfish? Is that up at the?
Yeah, it's at the farm, at the Hansville.
At Hansville Farm, and are those chicken
fake.
hearts or
I couldn't
chicken livers?
Couldn't catch catfish.
Do they still
when
have
I needed
catfish
it.
in there?
They do, but it was not working that day when I needed them.
Okay.
So we faked it.
You did? Okay.
Of course.
Even you.
Well, the pictures have to be all fake. The pictures have to be fake, otherwise it doesn't work out.
Let's use the word staged for the photograph, right? They're being restaged so you can get a good picture, right?
Exactly.
Right. This was another one that struck me, well, it was curiosity, maybe that's why I was curious about it.
Right,
and I actually, when I happened upon it, I came from the back of the book and I saw this thing, a Cajun boombox. Now, boombox is usually something, I don't even have them anymore, but it used to be very popular 20, 30 years ago with these big, giant music boxes. I guess they still have them, but they were very popular before. But this isn't a music box, is it?
No, it has a mousetrap in it, so it blows up when you put a quarter in it. That's how I found out about it.
Okay.
I was curious, and I put the quarter in. Boom.
So you didn't design that?
Somebody else had it, and I just...
and you just kind of did a version of it?
Well, on building it for the kids, I made it easier. I just built it out of mousetraps and everything and made it a simple way of building it.
So and that's one of the ones you also talk about adult supervision, because you want somebody getting their finger caught in the mousetrap, right?
Yeah, but this mousetrap is not as bad. If you use a rat trap, that'd be bad.
That would be bigger. Now, near the end, you've got Aiming for Heaven. And was this influenced by Father Mitch, who loves to hunt with a bow? Or?
No, I always use that one of my own. But you have to aim for heaven is one of the things he always said. But I always said you're aiming for McDonald's.
Right.
Get a hamburger.
And that's why the idea, of, I guess, is simply that if we shoot for heaven and do our best, then if we stumble, we'll stumble into purgatory. If we shoot for purgatory, we may stumble into hell, right?
Exactly.
I mean, a very basic thing for people to understand. Now, at the end of this, again, like I said, you thank many of the people, and you even go back to your producers, Kathy Bellamy and Dennis Leslie. That goes way back from the beginning of
well, it was easier than
Leo,
trying to change those words. So I just
you left them that way?
Yeah.
Okay. So the Hey Brother Leo, the first edition is still in print, right? In English, still available. And now there's Hey Brother Leo 2. That's the new one. And there's also one here in Spanish that's available. That just came out. Now, who did the translation for you?
Elena, one of our employees.
Okay. She actually did it for you?
She did a very good job, and then I had other people read over it.
Right.
I don't know Spanish, so.
Right. And why did you, what was the need? Why did you think you needed to put it out in Spanish? Was that something you felt from actually going out and doing it, or somebody said to you, hey, it would be a good idea, or?
There's a lot of Spanish people out there. So
sure.
I think it's 70% of the world you cover with Spanish and English. So.
Right.
So I thought Spanish would be a good language.
Right, and of course, in fact, for EWTN's religious catalog, we now offer a Spanish section, which we hope to expand to reach out to the viewers we have, because we have a complete Spanish network. We have 2 Spanish networks, well, 3. Ultimately, we've got one in the United States and one that goes to South America and to Spain, and we'll be launching, just have launched Spanish in HD in the United States. Wow. So we are trying to hear the call of the church, especially here in the United States, to reach out to our Spanish brothers and sisters. Well, let me ask you, what was harder for you to do? Was it harder for you to come up with the ideas for the experiments, shoot the experiments for TV, or write the book?
They're all about the same, hard.
Yeah.
It's not, it depends. Some of the experiments come easily, and then some come harder. But doing it on TV is different than giving a talk to kids, because if I make mistakes, it's one thing. On TV, I have to make sure everything flows better.
Right,
I mean,
but
they do
always
it a few
tape it
times.
again.
Yeah, but you don't want to put the network through all that trouble.
Oh, okay.
But,
so you're a one-take guy.
No. But kid stuff, you don't do one take. No, they have to do a lot of inside and outside.
So, and all the time, because one of the things people, if they'd like to see, besides coming here, obviously on pilgrimage or something, when we do our family celebrations, we, for our Faith Factory, you're always there. When you did, and we did one last summer in Phoenix. of the kind of, did you do like experiments and things at the show like that?
I do, but it's harder when you have such large groups coming. So I let like whoever's doing, like the Penguin guy, they do their spiritual stuff. They do spiritual.
Yeah.
I just play with the kids and
Okay.
we have fun. I mean, I bring experiments,
So
but
Pete
only
the
certain
Penguin
ones.
ends up running the show there.
Yeah, he can do the spiritual part, and then I'm just there to entertain the kids.
Our Roman Catholic there. And,
Yeah.
and everything.
So
Are these ones that are embodied in Hey Brother Leo 2, the book? Are those videos that are actually on the air now?
some of them are, and then a few of them I haven't done the TV shows.
But
for
you're
yet.
planning on doing in the
Oh,
future,
yeah.
and probably make those DVDs available as well.
As soon as the network does.
Is there a number 3 in there someplace?
I don't know. It's going to be hard to get a second cover.
Okay.
A third cover is going to be hard.
That's the tough part.
Yeah, because my Hey Brother Leo 2 looks so cute.
Yeah, you like
So,
that. You don't know if you can top that.
I don't know if my
Well, you know,
sister-in-law
sometimes you
can
got to
have
stop.
too many more
Sometimes
kids.
you quit at the top. You know what
Yeah,
they say?
we'll see.
All right.
I will put it in Spanish,
It's
though.
always great to sit down and have a conversation with you, brother, and great to see you. And thank you for all your prayers, all your work, the friars you yourself do, and the great work you do for the kids on EWTN.
Thank you, Doc.
Thank you so much. Speaking here with the one and only Hey Brother Leo Mary of the MFVA about his new book, Hey Brother Leo 2. And it's available through our religious catalog. And there's also a Spanish edition of his first volume. And don't forget, the first volume is also available, as is the DVDs that you see on TV, all through our EWTN religious catalog. If you have kids or grandkids, you should check these out. Join us next time right here on EWTN's Bookmark.